1, 2, 3. There we go. We're gonna keep that beginning bit though.
Okay. Welcome to Mad Savages, guys. Welcome to episode 4. There's no special intro today. We have my brother.
Hello.
Such a disappointment.
Welcome.
I'm
Welcome,
just,
Josh.
The extra guest.
The extra guest. Do you wanna explain who you are?
I'm Joshua Jansen. I don't have much.
That's who you are.
That's me.
He's my brother. And well, the reason we got you on today is because
We couldn't find anyone else.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm always the spare. When there's no one else, then get me. I mean, I don't mind. So, yeah.
No, real though. We got you on because I think we'd have an interesting conversation because recently you've decided that you're gonna have a fight. You're gonna
Yes,
get into
sir.
boxing, and you know that's quite a big thing to commit yourself to.
People always give me just recently I've been starting to say I have a fight soon, and I get weird looks like, what is wrong with you? Why are you doing this?
Like some Brad Pitt Fight Club kind of thing.
No, because people can't understand willingly putting yourself in that position. And I used to think the same way. Like, literally a few months ago, I couldn't comprehend getting beaten in the head by someone else. Like, I still can't understand it, but there's something about the thrill to get in the ring and just have your survival instincts kick in.
Please tell me you've sparred before. Like, have you been hit before?
No.
You've never been hit before.
This will be my first fight.
Yo, Josh.
You know what was the funniest thing? We're in the kitchen, right? We're in the kitchen the one night, and we're talking about boxing, and we're just like we're just talking and we're ranting whatever, and then he just stops. He's like, "Oh my word! I just realized I'm gonna get hit in the face." And I'm like, "Oh, so you're only thinking about this now, bro?"
It's like I knew it was happening and I prepared myself mentally, but then there's that fear that just clicks and you're like, wow, I'm actually like, no one's gonna hold back. They're fully gonna put their
He's
foot-
gonna try and murder you.
He's gonna try and knock you out.
But the thing that fixes that fear is when you tell yourself, I'm gonna do it to them as well. Then it's like,
What about the fact that you can defend yourself? I thought that would be more like...
no, yeah, but the exciting part is that you can do it as well.
Mhm.
Like,
Right. It's like that pure masculine
Yeah,
ego
yeah.
that says, "Yeah, you're gonna try and beat me, but I'm gonna try and kill you
and
as well."
when I started boxing training, I always said I'm gonna make sure I'm fitter than the other person. Because when I look at all the best boxers, it's not about always the best skill. Because boxing is a very basic sport. Like, everyone's gonna have the basics down, and the ones who excel are the ones who are the most fit. Muhammad Ali trained like a madman. He was
Lomachenko.
just more fit. Lomachenko, they just move around the ring better because their conditioning is
Usyk is
way-
another good example.
It's pure conditioning.
Usyk,
That's what I love about the sport.
the reason I think Usyk is so successful in the heavyweight division is because he's small and he's fit and he moves and he moves quick. And so the big guys, the big heavy guys, it's hard for them to move all that weight around.
Yeah.
So it's hard to maintain that over 12 rounds when you've got little Usyk who's moving, who's bobbing his
Yeah.
head. You can't touch him.
What about Tyson Fury? Because he looks kind of fat. Is he actually fat? Or is he...
The thing with boxing is your look, your appearance, your body doesn't reflect on your condition
cardio?
for the ring.
Okay.
Like the guy who beat Anthony Joshua, look at him.
Yeah.
Like the Mexican guy.
Andrew
You-
Ruiz. Yeah.
Like when you look at fighters, you look at them and you're like, how can this person be a pro athlete? But fighting is a completely different. Your six pack doesn't win you a fight.
Mm.
Like, what was I gonna say now? The thing I love about fighting is that there's no excuses. Like if you look at Conor McGregor, as soon as he stopped conditioning himself to as the best would, he fell off immediately. So what I love about it is that the result you get is how much work you put in. There's not a lot of luck in the sport. So if you're putting in the work, if you know you've conditioned the best, you're gonna be the best. And it's just, the sport just brings some other kind of feeling that you don't get from any other sport. That's why I'm so excited to get in the ring. So
let's talk
a month
about
and a half,
let's talk
hopefully.
about your fights in a month and a half.
if I can get registered for
Registered.
this fight, yeah. then
Okay.
month and a half.
Okay. And let's talk about what inspired you to want to get into boxing.
I actually forgot exactly what the original trigger was, but it was partly Jordan Peterson and Hamza, a YouTuber I watched.
Hamza, that self-improvement guy, where's the
Yeah,
road?
yeah.
Okay.
I used to watch him a lot. I can't remember which one was first, but I knew I wanted to do a martial art. From Jordan Peterson, it was the idea of being dangerous, and then Hamza he made one video saying about, because he always speaks about masculinity, right, and finding your primal man, like, and he spoke about when he got in the ring and he actually had to fight someone, and it just did something to, like, there's something that happens um as a man when you actually have to put yourself on the line. You literally, your life is at risk. You are fighting someone, and it's like a warrior. It's like the warrior in you comes out.
Yeah. It's like you feel like a gladiator. Like, this is
Yeah.
me. I have to defend my
Yeah.
life, and your primal instincts kick in, and there's something thrilling
It's like
about
built
that.
in as men to put yourself in that situation. Like, men, for our whole existence, men have always been fighting, always. And it's only now recently where we haven't really needed to. So when people do get in the ring again, then it's like they wake up, like they finally human. It's like a human experience that you need to have at least once in your life.
Yeah. So did he say it was a switch that happened for him in the ring, and that's something he can tap into ever since he's had that fight?
I can't remember, but I watched the video like almost 6 months ago. But it's like when he got in the ring, he was like crapping himself,
Yeah.
like, and he's a big guy, he's super strong, but he was fighting someone, and now there's no jokes. It's not like your fear just kicks in, like your life is at risk, like you're about to die, sort of, and now you need to fight for that. And I don't think anyone these days can relate to that at all, and you can only get that now by fighting.
I watched you slowly grow into this not phase, but like into this passion for boxing, and I think a big influence was the Rocky movies. You started watching them, and then you were obsessed with them. When he trains, all he plays is the Rocky music.
Yeah.
All the songs are from Rocky.
And the reason why is because like I'm watching the movie while I'm gymming, and it just brings so much motivation.
Okay, so what is it about the Rocky movies that inspire you?
Well, firstly, it's not the Rocky movies that made me want to fight. I wanted to fight, so I was like, what are the best boxing movies? Rocky. And I'd never watched them, so then we go watch all the Rocky movies. And I couldn't believe how good they were. Like, because usually I don't watch movies, especially old movies. And these movies just like spoke to the human spirit in some crazy way. And it's something you can get through fighting, because it's pure will and determination. Like, your mindset is the biggest factor when you fight, because you can be super skilled, but your fear will hold you back. And the thing that I love about the Rocky movies is that he's always the underdog, which is obviously why everyone likes it. But with that comes the fear. So you looking at this beast that you have to go fight now, and he does it anyway. And what David Goggins liked was the 14th round when he gets knocked down. And then most people would be like, oh no, I'm done. This Creed is too good. But he gets up and he keeps coming and coming and coming, and he gets beat in the head and his face is messed up, but he keeps moving forward. And it's like, the message is like, no matter how fearful you are, you can still do it. And it's like a message in life. Like Sylvester Stallone says with the Rocky movies, it's not about the sport. It's like a message for life. Like, procrastination is similar. The reason people procrastinate is they're afraid. They're afraid they're gonna fail. They're afraid they won't succeed, etc. And what you need to learn is, as fearful you are, you can still do it, and you can still take the hit all the time.
Yeah, Goggins is he gives a good example about that as well, where he talks about his 100-mile run.
Yeah.
And he says he got to a point where he's peeing blood, he's shitting himself. Everything about his body, everything
He's
in
saying
his body
stop.
is saying, stop doing what you're doing. Stop doing it. You're hurting yourself. Stop. And he takes a break.
Do it.
He cleans himself up.
Yeah.
And he runs the last 7 miles. And he said those last 7 miles are the greatest miles he's ever ran in his life, because everything in his soul was telling him, I can't do this. And he still got up and did it.
I don't know, but when you push through the fear, there's something that happens where you just feel reborn almost. Have you ever like experienced that where you
Approaching a woman and like
thing-
that you don't know.
things like that. Like if you sit there and you're anxious about this thing for so long and you build it up in your head, and most of the time you build it up and you're like, no, I can't do it. But then when you actually build it up and you're so afraid, and then you just say, I'm gonna do it anyway, then it's like a different type of feeling. Like for example, I was nervous about going to this restaurant to ask for a job. Like I didn't know what to expect. Like I was getting anxious about it. And then I was starting to build it up in my head.
Then the excuses come, like
The excuses come, no, don't do it. Maybe
they probably full. They have enough
they've
employees,
things like that. And then you look for all these excuses.
and you convince yourself. You fully get in your own head. You like convince yourself that you can't.
Exactly. And that happens. That's how you procrastinate, because you just fill yourself with excuses. And then when you push through it, you feel like a new person. You feel like you can take on anything. And that's what the fighting brings out in you. Because the amount of times I've said, no, I'm going to get a bit of brain damage. I can't fight. I don't have the anger in me to do it. And then everyone tells you, no, you shouldn't do it. And then you do it anyway. And I can't wait to get that feeling after a fight.
Yeah, there's a new sense of self-belief in yourself.
That
You
is
start
what it
to
is.
think, I can do anything.
That is exactly what it is.
I think we had a similar experience when we did you did it as well, the Great 10 hike. You know, there's parts of it where you're thinking, this is horrible.
I think I
I
came
wanna
with every
quit.
excuse in the book. I was going through my head like, I'm gonna get to the base camp. I'm gonna go home.
That-
yeah.
That is the message when the David Goggins message as well, the Rocky message, is when everything is in the shits, like when all the excuses are valid and everyone's telling you stop. And then when you push through it and then you actually succeed, you still do it. It's
Like how good do you feel when you finish that, when the Great 10 hike is over and you've realized what you've done?
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
finished it.
it's the same way people love marathon running, because you don't need to run 42 kilometers. And then when your leg is hurting on mile 37 or kilometer 37 and you're like, no, stop. You're going to injure your leg badly. And you still finish the race. You feel like an absolute king. That's the...
Sorry guys, I'm a bit paranoid. I feel like I haven't pressed record. I just want to check.
Oh god. Oh no.
No, man. No.
Okay.
I was just a bit paranoid because I was thinking the whole time he's talking. I'm like, oh, did I press record?
I'm not cutting that out. Everyone must see that you just did.
I was panicking, bro.
Yeah, but there's something alluring about pushing yourself to like the extremes of like physical and like mental limits. Like there's something alluring about running that 42. Like I don't know if it's the fact that you can say you've done it, or just finding out what that experience is like. Like I want to run a marathon, not a full marathon, a half. I'll start with the half.
One day maybe.
Yeah,
a full.
start with the half.
Yeah. But I want to run a half marathon one day, just to see like what it's like, just to push myself that far.
I think what the best part of it is that you surprise yourself.
Yeah.
Like you sometimes you set limits on yourself. Like for example, the socially anxious person is like, oh, I could never go talk to that person, and you put all these limits on yourself, and then when you do it, then you realize, wait, I was wrong all this time. I was limiting myself for no reason, and that's what David Goggins loves saying is like, I couldn't believe what I did. Like I can do anything.
Goggins after that
it's like
mile
that.
run, he said, I've been underachieving my whole life.
Yeah.
I didn't realize like all those times I've been limiting myself. I've been saying no. I've been stopping when all this time I could have pushed even further.
Yeah.
Your body is so much more potential than we actually think.
Yeah, and I think the key thing there is to find out sooner rather than later, because then once you actually are like 85 and you can't run that far, that kind of sense of regret comes in.
What's that philosopher that said the greatest mistake of a man is to not fulfill his...
He read that.
We said that on it's Socrates.
Episode 2.
It would be like a great shame for a man not to realize the potential of the strength he has.
You know, just the past few weeks, I've increased my physical capabilities, like in terms of running and everything. And I surprised myself. Like, I can't believe how much stamina I have. Like, I used to struggle with hill sprints. I used to hate it. And then now it's like nothing for me. And that's just from a few weeks of hard work. Now imagine doing that for years and years, like the human capabilities.
And you know this thing you're talking about, this feeling, that feeling you feel
like
so
you can
good,
do anything.
like you can do anything. That's what confidence is.
Yeah.
And that's how you build confidence.
It's proving that you can fulfill your own promises.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we see this a lot where people who are unconfident, who are socially anxious, and they ask for advice. They're always asking these guys, how do I improve my confidence? The best thing I've heard is you need to achieve things or achieve your promise, fulfill your promises to yourself. And when you realize how great you are, how great you can be, that's what installs you with confidence. Exactly. You don't just become... confidence is not a facade. It's not an act. You can't act. You can't pretend to be confident. Confidence comes from knowing and trusting in your abilities.
Yeah, exactly.
If you know I'm the best soccer player in the world, you know how confident you'll walk in. No girl will be a threat to you, or you won't be scared to go talk to a girl, because you know I'm the best soccer player in the world. She's lucky to be talking to me. That's the mentality you need to have. Like, I'm killing all my studies at the moment. I'm getting A's for I'm incredibly intelligent. Why wouldn't someone want to talk to me? That's how you build confidence.
But I think also what people do is they don't boil it down to the finer details. Right. Like, confidence literally starts with, you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to wake up at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, tomorrow. I was going to say this now.
And then if you hit snooze for 5 minutes, you already broke a promise to yourself.
Yeah.
So that already is dampened your confidence.
It's just about doing what you said you were going to do.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
And that 5-minute snooze sets the tone for the day. Because like then you get to breakfast like, oh, I can have like some sugar on my cereal. I don't know, like something stupid like that. No, because I slept in 5 minutes. Like, I already broke that, so I can skip on that. As I can also.
It's letting yourself down essentially.
I run 3Ks instead of 5Ks. Like, it's not that big of a deal. You let those small things slip, and they just add up.
Mm-hmm.
I actually went through a bit of a rut recently where I was hitting snooze. I was sleeping in for an extra hour, and I got 2 weeks into it, and I was like, what the doing? What am I doing?
And it adds into every aspect of your life.
I was spending, and you know what? It had a snowball effect. I was spending more time on stupid social media apps. I was getting less work done.
Yeah.
I was spending more time getting distracted on things that had no relevance to what I was supposed to be doing. And so what I did, literally about a week and a half ago, is in the morning, I hide my phone in my room. I go put it like somewhere else, and I set the alarm for 6 o'clock. So I have to get up at 6.
Yeah, I do that as well. Yeah. I don't have it next to my bed. I make sure it's there, so I get up to go turn it off.
And do you know what fell away? I didn't spend as much time on social media. I didn't hit the snooze button. I've been eating better. I've been working out harder. I put in an extra 2 workout sessions this week just because. And I think I genuinely think it started from me just waking up, saying I'm going to wake up at 6, and I wake up at 6.
Sleep literally sets the tone for my whole life. Like, if I start sleeping in late, if I start waking up at 11, then what happens is your confidence already drops without you knowing, because you're like, I shouldn't be waking up at 11. And then it just adds on, okay, I'm not going to run today. Oh, I'm not going to do this today. And then
it's almost like you wake up and you're like, well, I woke up at 11.
The day's shot.
Most of the day, the day's done. The day's finished. I'll just sit in bed today. I'll watch some Netflix.
That is exactly how it works.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
But there is a fine line. Like what we're all saying is correct, 100%. You don't break promises to yourself. But there is a fine line to where you need to realize, maybe I'm being too harsh on myself, or I need to take a break. Because that's how people burn out. people think, no, I need to be on top. I can't, no breaks, 100%. I got to wake up at 6 tomorrow. I got to wake up at 6.
The problem, I get what you're saying, but the problem is when you start slipping, it becomes months of slipping. It like builds up, like Harris was saying, like it can turn into weeks of no productivity.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there could be, there's people that experience burnout, which is when you're going 100% all the time and you don't have any leeway for yourself. So you end up burning yourself out, and that leads to even more stress, even more anxiety. And then then eventually you don't do anything
and
because you're burnt out.
The quality of your work is so much worse when you're burnt out. I experienced burnout, a minor form of burnout earlier this year, where I was working 13, 14, sometimes 15-hour days at my desk, just grind, like doing like I wouldn't give myself a break in my free time.
That's crazy.
Yeah, in my free time, I'd just be thinking, well, I'm not doing anything right now. I could be doing another project. I could be getting ahead on this. So it would be like from work to personal projects, from personal projects to work. There was no breaks for me. And what I found happened to me was I was pissed off at everyone for no reason, at all. I was pissed off at myself. My energy levels were shot. Like even
was it work that you had to be doing?
No.
So it was just
you
finding work.
I think I went a little bit insane. I was in my own head, like where I couldn't, like I literally couldn't drag myself away from it. I was completely addicted to
the work,
to trying to finish and trying to get ahead on projects. And even the people around me, like, just, you can chill. Like, you don't. This is due. this is due in like 2 weeks. Like, no, I need to do it today. It needs to be done today. So and what I realized is like, it's not worth it. Like, it's not, like, you need to give yourself that break. I read something yesterday. You can't park a car that's going at 50,000 k's an hour. You need to have that moment where you unplug and just
I actually
chill.
don't hear of this often. I hear most people talk about procrastination and why can't I do the work.
No,
I've never heard the opposite end of like
I'm
doing
insane.
much.
Harris is the opposite end of, like, most people, you're right. The majority of people who speak to procrastinate.
Yeah.
Harris is not one of those people.
But that's the other end of
he's
the
the other
extreme.
end of the spectrum where you're
need
a
to
workaholic.
stop doing some
Like,
stuff.
relax. But I wanted to ask you, what were the things you were saying to yourself when you were working for all those hours? When you wanted to, or maybe couldn't take a break? What were you telling yourself?
I'm super, super competitive, right? So if yesterday me did 10 hours work and I got 3 projects done, the next day, like, well, I can do 10 and a half and I can get maybe 3.5 projects done. And it just builds and builds and builds. And then you kind of get like angry at yourself because you did so much work yesterday. Why the fuck are you not doing more today? Like, push it further. If you did that much and you got it done, like, how much further can you take it? It's kind of like you literally go a bit insane. Like you push yourself way too hard. It's kind of, it just spirals out of control where, like,
That's kind of what the successful people say. Like the famous Conor McGregor, like, I went insane for this
you
sport.
literally go insane.
To become great, sometimes you need to do that.
Yeah. I would be in public in gyms and I like literally couldn't relate to people anymore. I just look at them and like, you're talking about like your dog. Like, who gives a crap about your dog? Like, who cares about your dog? I don't care about your dog. Stop telling me about your dog.
But you see, now this is the point I was making.
That's interesting.
This is the point I was making. It's important that we discuss it as something on a spectrum, because you need to have balance. Balance is the key to everything. You can't be that end of the spectrum where you're a workaholic and you don't know when to take a break. And you also can't be on the other end of the spectrum where all you want is breaks.
Yeah.
You need that line in the middle, but it's hard to see that line sometimes.
With procrastination, it's built from fear of like failure, and then what happens is you just beat yourself up when you're not fulfilling your promises.
But you see, the other end of the spectrum is also beating yourself up.
Yeah,
You see that because you're telling yourself like, no,
it's like
I,
you're whooping yourself to just keep working.
right. Like you're saying, no, I worked this much. Yes, bloody hell, if I don't work as much, then I'm a useless human being.
Yeah.
It's all being self-critical to
But
yourself.
I wonder if it's from stress as well, because procrastination is a stress response. So when let's say I have big exams coming up, it's stressing me out. Let me just watch a YouTube video quick. Because your prefrontal cortex is like overloaded, so it just needs something to relax. And I can't just keep working. That's what procrastination is. So I wonder if yours is also from stress and then it drives you to be even more.
I think I procrastinate like rest. I try and put off rest as long as I can. I try and push it to the absolute extreme.
But it sounds like stress. Like there's this project coming in 2 weeks. I'm really stressed about it.
Yeah.
So I need to get it all done today.
Yeah, that's also where I get a bit. I kind of understand the 9 to 5 people, because it's like I'm at work at 9, I finish at 5, and at 5 I'm done. You don't talk to me about work after 5.
Yeah.
Whereas when you work for yourself, there is no cutoff time. It's like I work when I work, and if there's a project to do, there's always work to do. So you have to be like, you kind of have to set your own hours.
Switch off.
Yeah, and when you have like even the slightest bit of ambition, you tend to push it over that 9 to 5. You start, okay, 8 hours I can do 9.
I get what
you can
you're
do
saying.
10.
You don't know when to stop.
It's hard to switch off. Yeah.
There's no a bell that says now you can stop working.
But you know what I think the solution to that is? I think it's finding ways of relaxing, but it's not watching YouTube or Netflix or maybe watching a movie is not a bad thing. You know, a movie is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you need to find ways of relaxing that are still productive. So working on your assignments the whole time, maybe a good way to take a break but still be productive is to meditate. Or to go talk to friends, go expand your social skills, because there's more to life than just my grind. Like, you can't just be a boxer the whole time. Go and develop your family connections. Go talk to your brother, to your sister, to your mom, to your dad.
A lot of people beat themselves up when they're not doing something productive. Like, let's say you start I don't know, playing some game, and you're like, I'm wasting my time here. I need to do something productive. So you can find something productive that doesn't necessarily relate to your work, but it's not as stressful.
Yeah, I've started going for walks. I find walks.
Yeah,
on a Sunday I almost have like a mandatory hour. Just go. I don't even know where I'm going sometimes. I just start walking.
That's good, yeah.
Find out where I go.
And even that is a kind of form of meditation, or just being alone with your thoughts sometimes, and using that walk to process things. But that's why I encourage self-awareness. So you're not just walking and thinking about your anxieties and your stresses. You're trying to deal with them. So you're trying to say, yes, I feel stressed. Why do I feel stressed? How can I reduce my stress? And you talk to yourself in a more positive way.
Yeah.
But I think most people talk to themselves, like I said last week,
negatively.
or the week before, very negatively. We're all very self-critical and self-defeating.
It sounds like the solution for both ends, procrastination and overworking, is just scheduling time. Because the big problem is not managing your time properly. The one doesn't do enough, the one does too much. So you would need to dedicate time for rest. So you slot in times, okay, today, at 2 o'clock, I'm going to rest till 4 o'clock. And then the other person needs to say, okay, I'm going to work from 2 till 4. Scheduling sounds like the answer.
But I don't want to go on this topic for too long.
Managing your time properly.
Yeah, for sure. But to add on that, I don't want to go on this topic for too long, but I would give my personal experience. What happened with me is I was like being very self-critical of myself when I wasn't achieving what I said I wanted to achieve. Sometimes I was breaking promises to myself, and I was beating myself up for that. And it was making me just very sad, very, very anxious about life. And I spoke to my lecturer, and we had a discussion about it. And what I didn't realize was, sometimes I don't do what I'm meant to do, but at the end of the day, my abilities still come out in the end. I'm still getting good grades. I'm still progressing in my football. I'm still progressing in my training. I'm still becoming a more self-aware person and developing my emotional side, my emotional intelligence. And the outcomes are still good sometimes, but I'm beating myself up in the process all the time.
Yeah, you don't look at what you do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was beating myself up like, I'm doing things wrong.
That's how you fight negative self-talk. Like,
right.
You look at what is going well.
But it's also, it's about being grateful.
Yeah.
So what I wasn't doing was, at the end of the day, yes, maybe I didn't fulfill a promise I made to myself in the day. But at the end of the day, my marks are still fine. Everything's fine. Why am I stressing? You know what I mean? Like I would beat myself so much, but life was going fine. I was just not appreciating it.
Yeah,
I was not being grateful
is
for
one
that.
of the great things to.
That's why I like what Stacey said last week when she said she wrote her obituary. prior to her mad like successful run that she's been on for the past couple of years. It's same as me. I also started writing. I wrote down like a couple of months ago things I want to start happening in my life, and I've started to see a couple of them starting to fulfill themselves. And you like, so when, on those days where you, and it's like a daily thing for me. I'm like, I just want to quit. Like I'm so over this. I can't. I'm tired. This is not making me happy anymore. And then like within the hour, I'll start taking like those small wins, and then it starts building up. And then I also think back, oh, but last week I got this and I've been wanting that for months, and I've been aiming for this for months, and I'm getting that. And you start to like realize, just relax. Those lows are often so short and so intense. You just need to let them pass, because you will find that your medium mood is normally pretty good, and those lows and those highs, you just need to be very wary of those, because those aren't the normal. Your normal is like somewhere in the middle, and you gotta learn to ride out the lows and the highs, because as well the highs can make you delusional as well.
You know, I realized something like recently, like things that I promised or wanted to achieve months or even years ago is like happening now. Like you say, it's happening now, and then you don't realize it. Like the you 2 years ago would have been going crazy if what was happening now, and you just don't appreciate that. And that's how you need to remind yourself all the time what's going on for you now that's good. And that makes you more grateful.
I think that's the power of gratitude. Now what I've started doing now, every night before I go to sleep, I just think of, okay, what are like 4 things I'm glad happened today, even if it's the simplest thing is like I ate good food, I ate healthy today. You just be grateful that you had that. And I think
gratitude journaling changes the way you think. Generally it does. Like you said, anything that goes wrong, you can now start thinking of the positive aspect.
And I think it's the most important to do it even when you've had the worst day. Like I've gone to bed feeling
the best time, I think,
miserable, and I still force myself, okay, but what are you happy for today? Even when I'm miserable, and I just think about it.
The beauty of doing it when it's at your worst is when bad things happen in your life, they don't hurt anymore, because you can see the silver lining in things all the time. And gratitude journaling, great thing to do.
So to move it on a bit, did you guys watch the Adesanya Pereira fight, right?
Yeah.
We all watched that fight.
His post-match speech was legendary.
Yeah. You made a Kaizen video for it.
In like March?
It was a while ago.
Or April. I can't remember.
April, May, somewhere around there.
I think it was April.
But the reason I bring it up is because I think there's a valuable lesson we can take from that whole experience. So Adesanya, if you guys don't know, he fought Pereira twice. The first time he fought Pereira,
3 times.
That's kickboxing.
That still counts.
Well, yeah. Let's talk about that. They have a long history, Adesanya and Pereira. Pereira beat Adesanya, I think.
What are they
twice?
now? They're 3-1 now. I think Pereira's beaten him 3 times.
Yes.
Adesanya's only won once.
Yes.
3-1.
So Pereira beat him twice in kickboxing.
And they won one in UFC.
And
in
Pereira
MMA.
beat him once in UFC, and then Adesanya came back and knocked him out, finished him, and made a 1-1 in the UFC. But the lesson I think we can learn from it is the mentality Adesanya came with for that second fight, for that second UFC fight. I've never seen him like that ever. And I've never seen an athlete bounce back the way he did. He came in the most confident I've ever seen him in a fight. And this is a guy, be in mind, at that stage, before that fight, he was 3-0 against this guy. 3-0. And he came back and he stared into the camera and said, I'm going to finish this guy. I'm telling you now, I'm finishing him round 1. I'm telling you.
How scary must it be to have an opponent that's just like, he's just calm. He walks in the press conference calm, like, I know I'm gonna beat your ass. Like I don't care.
That's the worst thing for a lot of fighters, because they try and get in your head, and you just.
I find that the guys are getting like them, even like McGregor's was entertaining, but for me, I watch that sometimes, and I'm just like, he's putting on an act. Like you look, like it's almost like a bit of a clown behavior sometimes. But I get why he does it. It's to sell. It's also to sell the fight. And so it makes sense why he does it. But I'd be way more scared of a guy like Khabib. Khabib scares the living crap out of me, because he just sits there and just lets you talk.
Khabib has the best aura I've ever seen in any fighter, because the way he fights, he mauls people.
Yeah.
And then in interviews, he's just not bothered because he knows he's got full confidence. He's just gonna maul you.
So there's the word, the confidence
Yeah.
that these guys have. So where does the confidence come from? And it's back to what we were saying earlier. The reason Adesanya, and it's something you need to learn now with your fighting, the reason these guys are so confident is because they know the work they've just put in.
Yeah.
They know the prep, the demons they had to fight to get to where they are now.
Those camps they go through are hectic.
Exactly. So the reason I brought up Adesanya is because, look, in UFC, when you get finished in a fight, which he did,
We
in
saw
that
how it
first fight.
affected Usman.
We saw how it affected Usman.
Yeah.
We saw how it affected Conor. It's fine when he's getting submitted, right? But when Poirier finished him, when Poirier knocked him out, sat him on the ground, and knocked him
That
out,
does something to you.
it does something to your head.
Your confidence gets shattered a bit.
Shattered completely because you think, wow, where's my aura gone now? I'm weak, I'm vulnerable. The fact that Adesanya could get finished by a guy who all he did
Well,
was
to-
lose to him.
To be fair, he did dominate against Pereira.
Yeah, but the point is,
but he did lose.
he got
yeah.
finished.
Yeah.
He got
That's
TKO'd.
even more disheartening. Like you beating the guy and then he still
And he
kills you.
still
It's
beat
Yeah,
like-
that's what happened to Usman. He was bullying Edwards for 5 rounds, 1 kick,
Yeah.
Bang.
done.
And your confidence is shattered.
Yeah.
And so the fact that Adesanya could come back from that, come back from being finished, come back from losing to a guy that he's lost to 3 times, to get into that mentality where I'm going to prepare so much, I don't care, I'm invincible, I'm the guy. And he came and finished him. That inspired the hell out of me.
What
I
did he-
couldn't believe
He
it.
had a great speech at the end, but it was like, you can achieve.
Yeah. He just said he wishes people could feel how he feels right now.
That's the feeling you were talking about.
The euphoria you get after a fight. It's like you overcame all your fears, all your struggles, and you did it.
And that kind of thing can be applied not in just fighting. Like you can walk into I've walked into exams sometimes where like they can throw whatever they want at me right now. I don't care. I know I have the answer.
That's how you know you're
Yeah,
prepped.
yeah.
That's how you know you're
When-
ready.
Yeah, when you're nervous for an exam, you're not prepared.
You're not prepared enough.
You're not prepared. So, yeah, it can be applied to any aspect of life. When you are prepared, when you know you've put in the work, confidence.
It was the same even with my acting. If I wasn't really sure about my lines, then I get really nervous,
Yeah.
and then I mess up lines that I normally don't mess up.
With speeches,
Yeah.
that's why you should know more than you need to know on the topic, because then you can talk freely. When people get nervous for speeches, they don't have enough to say, or they don't know enough about the topic, and then they crumble.
It's the same with when I started sitting in on sales calls for the company I'm working with the colleague I'm working with. In the beginning, I'd sit there and I'd get so nervous because I'm like talking to this client and I don't know what they're talking about. Now I feel like I can genuinely sit on a sales call and talk, just have a normal, like it's literally a normal conversation with the person, because you know if he has a problem, he brings up a problem, I know how I know I can solve that problem. Whereas the first time I sat in, I was like, these people could be speaking Afrikaans or like German, and I would know the same amount of what's going on.
Yeah.
It's because you know I've done the prep. What you throwing a curveball at me? Bang! Smack it out the
I did
park.
that
I know what
last.
to do.
I fixed that like a month ago. Yeah, this is how we fixed it. Yeah, it's that same kind of thing.
And it's all in if guys are listening who are struggling with confidence, that's how you build confidence. Prepare yourself, advance your skills, know that I have the capabilities to do whatever is required of me in this moment right now. That's how you build confidence. And then this other concept that I wanted to talk about, I think maybe we can try and think of an idea of when we've had this concept influence us. This idea of adding or incorporating your shadow. What do you think about that concept?
Wait, first explain it for the
Incorporating
people.
the
Okay,
shadow.
so I'll start because I had very bad anger problems when I was younger, and it was really bad. Like it was so easy to trigger me,
I can
and
testify. Yeah.
and
Ask his TVs.
Now, don't expose that.
yeah. So
TVs plural.
I can't
TVs,
believe it's still
skulls.
Oh,
Yeah, it gets deep, man. It
Oh.
gets deep.
Joe
Picture
Goldberg.
frames. The point is
Skulls, man.
your skull.
Joe Goldberg, bro.
Oh, nah.
You see, anyway, yeah, I've had anger issues where a monster comes out in me.
Yeah.
Like it's almost unrecognizable, and I feel almost invincible. I feel like I can. It didn't matter if it was someone taller than me, if it was someone bigger and stronger. I said, my anger will carry me through this. Like I'm angry enough that I can hurt you right now. And there used to be this monster inside of me, and I worked hard in practicing and trying to get that out of me, and this is what Jordan Peterson talks about with and Jung. This is his concept of the shadow. Carl Jung, he's a psychologist, philosopher who discusses this idea of the shadow, and he talks about dissolving and reintegrating. So what I was doing for the past couple of years now is dissolving my anger. I need to get rid of it. I need to control it and become less angry. And for me, it's been beneficial. I'm much more calmer. I don't lose my head quickly, and it's a good thing.
Explain the shadow.
So no. So this is what I'm saying. So the dissolving of your shadow is that the shadow is my anger. It's that part of you that you don't like about yourself. So I had to dissolve it. I had to get rid of it.
My favorite way of explaining the shadow is that you can be a Nazi prison guard. Like, we have it in all of us to be that sort of evil.
Yes.
Like
Not necessarily a Nazi prison guard, right?
Yes, exactly that. We have the capability of doing the most evil thing possible.
Think of the most evil person on earth.
We have the capability of being
That's
that.
you.
Yeah.
Right.
In some way, that is you.
That can be you.
As the human, to really understand human nature is to know how evil we can be.
Yeah.
And that's what the shadow is. That deep part of you that immediately you reject. When you say, no, I can't be that. That is you deep down. You just don't know it. Like, the scariest thing that I don't know why people don't talk about it more is what happened in Rwanda. The Rwandan genocide.
Yeah.
That to me is the most evil thing and most scary thing that I've heard of. That normal people on the street, you and me, like just normal people, can build up so much hatred and just start killing their neighbors.
Brutally killing them.
Like, to explain the Rwandan genocide, there were the Hutus. Have you guys learned about it?
Hutu and the Tutsis, yeah.
And then, which one? The Tutsis, what? I forget their name now.
I think the Tutsis were the ones that they didn't like.
Yeah, now they were given
yes, it is right.
bias from the Europeans. And they were lighter skinned, and the Hutus were the majority, and they hated the Tutsis. And that built up for years. They started calling them the cockroaches and whatnot. And eventually a genocide just outbreaks, and it's just normal people on the street grabbing machetes and just killing their neighbors.
Chopping up people. Children. Families.
That's us. That's us. It's not like the military. It's normal people that can become evil like that. And that just shows that as good as we think we are, there are things that can lead us down that path.
I think people that lead you down that path are things like cults and big figureheads like people like Hitler and stuff.
Yeah.
You turn normal people into people who now hate Jewish people.
Exactly.
No? They like you literally. You bring out the shadow in people with like a big figurehead or like an influential figure. So,
that's the whole point of the shadow, is that can be you.
Yeah.
And immediately we say, no, I could never kill anyone.
Right.
But that's what the shadow is. So the way to like encounter your shadow is literally by.
So wait, can I just explain my thing about how I incorporated
but I just want to say, like,
okay.
When you get a thought that you reject immediately, like when you have those dark thoughts, like
intrusive thoughts,
write that down, because that is a part of you and you reject it.
Get arrested when you see that book.
All the parts of you that you reject immediately.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
But that part you reject immediately, that's the shadow. That's you that you're hiding. and you must.
But imagine
encounter
that though. Imagine someone finds that book that you've been
Yeah.
like writing your intrusive thoughts, and because
that's
I
scary.
know people have told me their intrusive thoughts before, and that's it's fucking wild, right?
Like, they'll look tasty today. I really wanted to try out.
Yo, you're gonna get taken down,
See,
bro.
that's another thing. I tried doing this once, and I was afraid to put it on paper
Scary.
because you don't want yourself to see it, and you also don't want anyone to see that side of you.
And you become ashamed of it.
Yes.
You become ashamed. But now, so just to go back to what Jung was talking about he talks about dissolving and integrating.
I like that.
So when I was dissolving my anger, I got rid of my anger. But then I realized, but when I was angry, there were abilities that I had, the strength that I all of a sudden had, the commitment and the dedication I had when I was that angry.
Mm.
I like those parts.
Mm.
I want to incorporate those parts of
Yeah,
me
yeah.
where I feel
There's
stronger and
utilization
my
in it,
ego feels incredible and I feel like I can take on anything. That's the parts of the anger that I want to incorporate. So what I've been trying to do is try and incorporate that into my football. So I almost get angry at my opponents to the point where my ego gets so strong and I think I think my physical strength is so great that I can take on anyone.
Mm.
And that's the mentality I want to have. So that's my idea of how Jung talks about dissolving and integrating.
Mm.
Now, in terms of why I was admired about you going into fighting, I think that's an awesome way to incorporate that dark side of you when you're one-on-one fighting someone. So how have you been incorporating your shadow?
What would you say your shadow is? Is it also kind of anger or
Yeah, anger comes out because when you like if you just get pissed off at something and you just go hit a bag.
Yeah.
It's like you're just releasing all that power
can
because you get power from anger.
yeah. Can shadows be? Can each person's shadow be different? Is it like always anger?
No, for sure. It's not mine was anger. Your
be-
shadow can be anything.
Okay.
Can be anything any part of you that you
Reject.
and dislike about yourself, and you
Okay.
think, no, I can't be like that.
There's like common ones like being socially, politically incorrect, anger, aggression, like a homicide. Like if you ever think about killing someone, like that's all these dark parts of you.
It's what I see it as is almost like your ultra version of your ego. Like
Yeah.
it's your pride. It's your pride, and sometimes you need to have a bit of pride in certain moments. And sometimes we push it away. We're like, no, don't be prideful. Don't be selfish.
Because that's exactly where it went for me. It's straight away. I was like, my ego is definitely that's the most things I push away.
Jung said the shadow goes all the way to the depths of hell. So think of the devil and apply it to you.
Uh-huh.
That's the shadow. Like, you know what I mean?
It's like the ultimate, most selfish, self-centered person where you just want to dominate everyone, and it's evil and it's
we've seen
tyrannical.
people like this that let it take over. Those are the murderers and
The serial killers.
Yeah.
And I think that the part of your brain that shuts down the intrusive thoughts. What is that called? That part called again? I think it's the frontal. It's in the front part of your brain. There's a specific part of your brain that controls those thoughts. It rationalizes and stops those thoughts.
prefrontal cortex.
I think it could be something like that. And they found in people like serial killers and like that often have like a dysfunctional part of that brain that stops them from shutting that down. Apparently I saw an interesting study. They can put like magnets on your head and they can shut down certain processes in the brain. And they were doing things like that. They shut down a part of the brain where people became like super, super accurate in like a game of Call of Duty. But the thing is, they couldn't discern between teammates and enemies. So like,
Really?
so I think that's also probably a similar part of the brain in like deciding what's good and what's bad. Is you become incredibly like efficient at what you're doing, but you have no way to discern whether what you're doing is good or bad.
Wow.
So that's probably something a similar kind of thing.
This concept is
Sounds
kind
like
of
Robocop.
the-
kind of
Yeah.
thing.
yeah.
Pretty much.
But this concept was kind of demonstrated in the Star Wars movie that we watched. When Anakin becomes evil, when he joins the dark side,
Yeah.
he lets
and
that.
he dates his sister, bro. I didn't know this.
No,
His
that's
stepsister.
that's Luke.
Oh.
That's Luke. That's Luke.
Forget what I just said. Forget what I just said.
But Anakin Skywalker is Luke's dad, who then becomes Darth Vader. But when he gets pulled to the dark side, it's that like power, and then he gets consumed by it, and then he's
Yes.
like, oh, but we can take over the whole galaxy, and that's the shadow, and he lets the shadow
Yeah.
overcome him,
And it's easier to act on emotion.
and then it gets
And
to
just
that
let it go.
and then it gets to that point where you say you can't tell the difference anymore.
Between good and
So
bad.
he starts attacking Obi-Wan, who was his friend, but well, you're in the way of me, you're in my way, so you're my enemy, and it's
And
Yeah.
that's a psychopath. It's they'll anything to. That pretty much is. You do anything to achieve your goal, whether it's good or bad.
Yes,
You have
yeah.
you're single minded. It's like when they shut down the guy's part of his brain. It's like my objective is to kill. It doesn't matter who's in my way.
It's like you're an animal that just wants its food. Like
Yeah.
anything that gets in your way
Yeah,
will die. Will suffer.
we'll get moved out the way.
Yeah.
so you spoke about your shadow, you would say was your, I mean, maybe you can think about it a bit more, but your
No,
your
it's
ego, you'd say.
Definitely my ego. I think I had a bit of a, not an ego death, but like an ego readjustment. I think probably 2 years. It was towards the end of when we first stopped the podcast. Yeah. So I watched the Shia LaBeouf interview where he speaks to, I forget his name. I forget at the
Oh, I
real
know,
on the real ones,
Transformers guy.
the real ones podcast, and I listened to
That was
Shia.
a good. That was a good podcast.
I listened to Shai and how he was, everything he did was to feed his ego. He would go on set and he would, like, people would like give him advice, like, you could do the scene like this, tweak it about like this. Like, no, I'm the best actor here, and he's got like Brad Pitt next to him, like the elite actors in Hollywood. It's like, and Brad would give him advice like, no, I don't need your advice. I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna do it how I'm gonna do it. And he would date women. He would make money. Everything he did was for him and his ego. And what he realized is that was the root of all of his problems. And I related to so many parts of Shai in that way. And I was like,
But what kind of problems would that bring?
your ego?
Yeah.
Well, for me, it brought a lot of anxiety for me. I found a lot of my anxiety stemmed from my ego, because I would tell myself, no, I'm the best at this. I'm the smartest. I'm the strongest. I look the best. My hair is the best. I would do all these things and tell myself I'm the best. And then on my off days, when I wasn't performing to that standard, then I would get it myself. It was like, well, you're telling yourself you're all these things, but you're not doing it. And then I'd get anxious about not being able to do those things.
Yes.
And that probably also was why I became a bit of a workaholic, because I'm the best worker.
If you say you're the best, you need to be the best.
yeah, I need to prove it to myself.
Yeah.
And what I was doing was I was setting these super, super high standards for myself. And when I didn't meet them, that would give me like an insane amount of anxiety. So I think I would compensate for that in like by pushing people away. And I would also I'd overwork myself, because if I wasn't achieving my goals, well, then you're just not putting enough time in. You need to push yourself harder. You're not working hard enough.
And would you like treat people like crap?
Yeah. Because I'd see people as below me, because I had these unrealistic expectations of myself. And when people didn't have those same expectations from themselves, I'm like, well, who the fuck are you? Like, what are you even talking to me? I'm better than you. And it was shocking. Like, and I really kind of deep that after I watched
It's
the
like
podcast.
narcissistic.
It's super super narcissistic, and it's detrimental to the people around you and yourself. And you don't realize
that you clock this, because most people like this
Yeah.
can't see that part of themselves.
Yeah, I can confidently say that a lot of people's anxiety genuinely stems from the ego. They set these super high goals for themselves because they think they the man.
But how did you clock this? Like, how did you?
I watched the Shia LaBeouf interview. I
and
literally,
that just hit you.
yeah, I realized how he perceived his ego in that way, and I related to a lot of how he perceived himself, and I realized he was so unhappy, and he hurt so many people. Like, after doing it for so many years, I need to cut that now, or I'm gonna probably
It'll get worse.
It'll get worse. I might end up like him.
It was also at some point it was influencing our friendship.
Yeah.
And I remember I was sitting with him and I told him, we were discussing something, and then I just told you, it's like, bro, you know what your biggest problem is? And I told you straight up, I said, it's your ego. And I remember you said to me, when I first said that to you, you were like, what? Who are you? Like, what are you telling me? Like, who are you to tell me what my problem is? Like, look at you.
And that's an egotistical response to that exact problem.
That's mad self-awareness you've developed.
That's why I said to him, I was proud of him, because I remember before, like, we weren't self-aware people. We were just doing things.
Yeah.
And I find this more impressive because narcissistic by nature, you don't see your own faults.
Yeah.
So to develop that's really cool.
Yeah. But but also like I think it's also important to have a bit of an ego because that's how you push yourself.
Yes.
But within limits, like you need to check yourself constantly.
Yes.
And I think that's where
You need some sort of modesty. Like,
yeah, and that's why I think also a good friends around you. Because Jansen checks me all the
bring you
time.
down,
Jansen checks me all the time. And also I think when I have a few drinks, I lose my filter a bit. And he says my ego comes out, and that's when I'm like I go a bit back to how I usually am.
You know, a lot of celebrities are like that with the ego.
Yeah.
Like Ronaldo, KSI, and then they have yes men.
I was gonna say.
And they just inflated.
Like, imagine I wasn't the guy who told you, your
Your
biggest
ass,
problem is
you're
your ego.
sick,
Like,
man.
nah, dude, forget what everyone's saying. You're the greatest, bro. You're the
That's
greatest.
what they do with people
That's
like
what
Ronaldo.
happens.
Like, ignore the hate. You're the
Yeah.
best. You can't do anything wrong. Look at all you've achieved.
And I think that was Conor McGregor's problem as well.
Yeah,
When I
yes,
was
man.
watching the documentary,
His
it's like
coaches.
all his coaches come out after every training. It's the best training session he's had. It's the best he's ever looked. He's looking great. Conor, you look great. You look great, Conor. This is you.
If you became like a millionaire, you would have had people around you just feeding your ego, just to be around the success. So it's quite sad what's happening with a lot of these celebrities. Actually,
I
'cause
think you posted something on Kaizen, and it was a guy saying like the good friends are the ones that tell you what you
Yeah.
don't want to hear. The bad friends, the friends are just using you, are the people saying what you want to hear. Like,
Yeah.
nah, this is great. This
because
is great.
if you're telling someone what they don't want to hear, it's probably good for them. Like, it's
Exactly.
gonna help them.
Yeah, but it's so difficult to break that boundary with the person sometimes. Like we have this one friend that could probably use like deodorant sometimes, and I remember Jansen the one day he goes straight up to him like, "Yo, bro, like just go put on some spray." And I said I was the only one that went to Jansen like, "Nah, respect, bro. I don't have the balls to say that to him, but you were real. You were straight up with him, bro." That's
The thing is like it's like kind of like you get shocked at first, but you appreciate it.
yeah.
It's like, thank you for helping me. And
Yes.
that's why haters are such a good thing. Because a lot of the time they're assholes. Like, why are you being a dickhead and saying what you think? And it's clear how bad it is, but you helped me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good advice. But they're still an asshole for bringing it up sometimes. But thank you for
You're an
helping
asshole
me.
for hating.
I'm not saying the friends, I'm saying the haters.
No,
like,
I know what you're
will
saying.
Say
Yeah.
bad things,
Mm.
but it's kind of true.
Mm.
And when it hits you hard,
Mm.
it's probably true.
Mm.
Just take it and thank you. You're an asshole for hating, but thank you for that. advice,
They've
you
done
know?
the self-reflection that you probably should have done. Like they've done it for you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's really difficult to find the
Yes.
problems you have with yourself
Yes.
because you have to look at yourself and you don't want to do that.
Yes.
They do it for you
Yes.
sometimes.
But at the sometimes, yeah, if it hits you, then you know.
Then you,
Then maybe
I've
there's
learned
something.
that when someone says something that insults me, and I get hurt
Then
by
a
it,
part of it is
then
true.
it's true. When someone insults you and it doesn't even faze me,
Yeah, then you're
I
like,
know it's not true.
Right.
But when it hits me, then I'm like, okay, it might be true.
But you know why I do that to people? It's because that's how I would like to be spoken to. I'm not the guy like I don't want people to lie to my face. If I have broccoli in my teeth and I
Yeah,
look
say it,
ugly,
please.
tell me please, because that will it's more beneficial. And not many people have that mindset because it's like an ego thing. It's like you're telling me I stink. Screw you, bro. Like you know what I mean?
But I think that's what people are scared of. You're going to tell them the truth and then they're going to be like, oh, fuck you, bro. Like, why are you saying that to me?
That is the fear. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
So that's why people are scared to tell people the truth. So yeah, I think that's why it's more important that it comes from like maybe a close friend.
I think you need to build it up
Yeah.
with someone.
Like it would be quite rude to go to a stranger and be like, "Yo, like what
You
the fuck are your
stink,
shoes,
man."
bro?
Or your
what are those shoes, bro? What is that haircut?"
Yeah, that's what you need friends for, to keep you in check. Because like if you come out with some goofy ass shoes, like a stranger's not gonna tell you. But like I can come to you and say, "Nah, those shoes are not it, mate." Like
yeah. A stranger will laugh at you.
Yeah.
And then walk away.
you need people around you to
Put
keep
you in check.
place, yeah.
I agree. And I think, like you said, the reason I could do that with him is because like we talk and it's like it's cool. We know
And he
each
comes
other.
to us for advice all the time.
Exactly. And it's when the person knows that you're not saying this to
To
hurt
hurt
me.
them.
Yeah.
You're
That's-
saying this
that's
because
the
you have my
difference,
best
yeah.
interest in
Yeah.
heart.
And it's important to have those conversations in private. Like, don't clown him in front of a group of people, because then you're being
Yes.
a bit of a dick. Like,
See, the haters will do it to hurt you.
Yeah.
But it's still good advice. But
That's-
they're doing it to hurt you.
I think that's probably what haters want is they want the
They want to expose.
They want people around them to be like, yeah, your shoes are crap. Like they want that like fulfillment kind of. They're not actually doing it to help you. They're just doing it because
They're
they
just
want.
trying to beat you down.
Well-
But then you can still take the advice and be like, oh, maybe it is.
But what a lot of people do is it's when they're hating like that. It's again an ego thing. It's how do I build myself up? Well, I'm not doing anything great right now. Let me bring you down so that I feel better about myself.
Instead of picking yourself up, you bring someone else down.
And I used to see people, there's kids like that in high school that I used to interact with. They would put you down. They'd make you feel crap. Every time you make a mistake, they're there to laugh at you. They're there to say what an idiot you are. But when you look at them, they're like, what are you doing? You're doing nothing.
You're failing maths, buddy.
Hey, I failed maths. But anyway. But no, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Just took a shot at
No, I didn't mean it like that.
But I get the point you were making, yeah. The
failed maths.
Can you even count how many shoes I have, boy?
But people used to do that to you when you messed up on your speeches. They were there, Harris, and I used to be like, oh, screw these guys, man.
Which
Like, what are
speeches?
you doing?
Like,
Yeah.
perils and stuff.
No.
In like assemblies and stuff.
Oh.
When I used to do the morning results and I read them out, yeah.
Okay.
I
You
struggled
were
with that.
fine though, man.
Yeah, I was fine in the end, but in the beginning I was horrible. So in the beginning I was like, nah, fair enough. But then it just got annoying. Like they would like even simple mistakes that everyone makes on stage, they would nitpick because I had a history of that kind of thing.
But you know why they did that to you? Because you were you were the guy. You were doing well. You were smart. You were good at sports. So when people see that, they're like, whoa, he's a threat. He's making me feel bad about myself.
Phenomenon like the sunflower. You know,
The sunflowers
flower
always turn towards the sun.
No.
That's completely
There's
off.
some saying where the flower grows above the rest,
Oh,
so they cut it off. The one that grows above the rest.
there's a crabs in the bucket example. You know, so when fishermen they go and catch crabs for bait, right?
Yeah.
And they put it in the bucket. And so the story goes that there was this guy walking past this bucket of crabs the one day, and he sees the one crab's about to climb out the bucket, and he says to the fisherman, "No, your crab's about to climb out your bucket. Just watch out." And he says, "Just watch." And as the crab's about to get out the bucket, his friends come and pull him back
Yes, man.
into the bucket.
Yeah, it's like that.
Same thing.
When it's like Kieran was telling us when he got good marks at school, they would make fun of him because no one else was getting good marks. So it's like when someone is going ahead, we got to bring him back down to us so he doesn't succeed.
And you see it in all aspects. Kirsten has the same problem, like in her life, where she's outperforming her peers, so her peers treat her badly.
Yeah,
because it's like, whoa, why are you trying to be different, bro? Why you got to be like us?
Yeah.
Don't make me feel bad about myself now because you're outperforming me.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, and it's all.
That's
all
why
leads back to the ego.
haters come out when you start succeeding.
Yeah.
David Goggins says that the haters fuel him because it means he's doing something right.
Yeah. And I think that's probably why people say breaking the mold and becoming that top 1% man is so difficult, because you've got so
Everyone
many
holding
people
you back, yeah.
trying to pull you back to
You
being the
holding
99%.
yourself back.
Yeah.
People are holding yourself like.
It's so like
It's so
respect
freaking-
to top athletes, respect to
Yeah.
top entrepreneurs, respect to
For
business
real, yeah.
owners, because those guys had to deal with
And the
so
amount
much
they have to
crap.
sacrifice as well.
Yeah. So they had to deal with so much crap to get there.
True.
And respect to them for getting to where they are.
And
True.
and it's and the way you get there is not just on yourself. It's not just relying on yourself. It's relying on the people around you.
Yeah.
It's making sure that you have the people around you that are holding you accountable, that are
And-
putting you in check.
And balancing those relationships, because you're gonna have snakes in the grass that are just there. That one friend
real.
that's with you for all the good times, but as soon as like one little thing goes bad, he's gone. It's constant. Like you have to be so self-aware while trying to push yourself as hard as you can.
And when you are that successful, you don't know who's got your back.
Yeah.
Even your close friends around you, you don't know who's really got you.
And that's why
With good intention.
Jordan Peterson says, maybe not, this is not maybe for the ultra successful people, but he says you need to have a friend that you can share bad news with, and they encourage you and help you and build you up, and someone that you can tell good news to that aren't going to immediately try and bring you down.
Yeah.
That's the key.
You know, it's amazing when you can see jealousy in people with micro expressions. When you say, let's say, you're talking to the other top boy in your class. You guys are both fighting for the top mark, and you tell him you got a good mark, and then there's that immediate expression
You
on
can
their
see
face.
it.
They
Yeah.
pissed. Oh, well done, well done, well done. That's when you can read jealousy, and I've learned to read that so well now.
Yeah.
Like, just look for those small split-second expressions, and then you see their real intention.
I've seen it when you tell someone bad news and they got that
They're
little
kinda happy.
they're like,
yeah.
what?
And what's scary is that a lot of the time it's your closest friends.
Okay, guys. So unfortunately, our podcast cut out a bit. My iPhone
3 times.
three
Three
times.
times.
3
We
times.
tried to do an outro a couple of times. My iPhone ran out of storage, so now we're using another phone. Yeah, guys. Unfortunately, there was some good content that got cut off, but hey, we'll save it for next time.
Things happen.
But I still think this has been a very, very good, productive podcast. Good, productive conversation. Josh, thank you for coming on.
man.
I'm gonna say it again. I love having you on because I think,
You must really mean it.
I know I truly love having you on because the conversation I think flows nicely.
Yeah.
It feels very natural. It almost makes me feel like we're doing a Joe Rogan type podcast where we're just like saying ideas and we're bouncing off each other. So, no, I really enjoy having you on. And if you're keen, we might even think about having you as a third host. If you're interested.
Yeah.
We don't have to change the name because it's fine.
This is so difficult doing it the third time. I can't even lie.
We've said all of this already.
It's like listening to orals in class. And just like he's like switch off.
Ma'am, can I repeat, please?
ma'am, can I start again, please? Dude, when people used to do that midway through their oral, ma'am.
Like
can
it's
I
gonna
do it
change
again?
your mark. You already got a 5, my boy.
Bro, they always start talking for 2 minutes, ma'am. Can I restart?
They hit you with the good morning. I mean, good afternoon, ma'am. Can I start again? Guys, Josh, hopefully we get you on after
the
your fight.
Yeah.
It's in
Hopefully
2
I'm not
months.
battered and bruised
Hopefully you're not battered and bruised. Hopefully you're not.
And I can record the fight.
We're
and
gonna
then
record it.
Maybe get some clips.
Do some analysis.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Imagine we next show we have Josh on and it's him knocking a guy out.
Yo.
That'd be
I'm
awesome.
gonna train all
For the
now,
views,
please.
please knock him out. Or
Yeah.
get knocked out. Bro.
Or
Just
get
one of the
knocked
two.
out. One of
the
them.
two.
Yeah.
Gotta be one of them.
I'll take a dive.
Take a dive.
Take a dive.
Third round, 2 seconds to go.
We get to the last round. Josh, you're not winning this. Just take the dive. man.
This time.
Guys,
That'll be good.
thank you for joining us. This has been Matt Sandwiches.
Peace.